Alright, in a previous video I talked about the fuel pump and some of the components of the fuel pump in a SeaDoo, well, in this case a 2023 Fish Pro Sport. And I've broken an older unit apart because my ski was bogging down, and I found from experience over 15 or so years of riding, and once that happens it's most likely fuel filter clogging issues or a fuel pump issue. Most likely fuel pump issues. So as you can remember, there's a filter in the bottom that's white, brand new, and this one is pretty clogged up. And as in a previous video I indicated, you can go ahead and try to breathe in throughout it and suck air in through it, and you can feel the resistance, and that kind of lets you know it's pretty well clogged. When it comes out and it's wet, it's a lot darker than this. This one is dried out. And as I also mentioned, it's not only dust and silt that can enter the gas tank if you're fueling in an area with a lot of wind-blown deposits like in the Gulf Coast. You also can get a biofilm that adheres to the filter. There's certain bacteria that really like fuel and ethanol and stuff. Anyway, this is at the bottom, and it is replaceable. You can replace it, but like I said in a previous video, what I do is I replace the whole unit because it's a pain in the rear to take everything apart to be able to actually get to this. So when you figure you're spending thousands of dollars a year on fuel, okay, fine. Go ahead and replace the filter and stuff. Now, those of you that just do sport riding and stuff like that a couple of times during the summer, yes, you're not spending $1,000 on fuel. But if you're spending a lot of hours on your ski, you can go through some fuel, and the cost to replace this part is about $400 for the part itself. And I consider it to be good insurance, but of course there'll be haters to this video that say they don't ever have to do it or something like that. But anyway, so this is the bottom. If you break the bottom part apart, as one person said, there's also a fuel filter on the inside of this can. I didn't know that until I broke this apart. It's interesting, this fuel filter, that's the float valve, by the way. This fuel filter filters fuel being returned from the injection system back down into this unit, and then back down into the, I believe, into the gas tank. So there's a continual flow, and believe it or not, there's a check valve up in here that governs the return flow back into the fuel tank. But anyway, so here's the pump, here's the filter at the bottom. I'll show you. There it is right there. Hooks into the fuel pump itself. You can take the fuel pump off. Here, and that's a pretty stout motor. It's made by Bosch. And the fuel flows up, and it flows up into this canister here where there is a paper fuel filter, and you'll see that this is white right now, but when you first pull it out, if it's clogged, it's going to be kind of a brown. And what's happened is this is dried out, and when it dries out, you can see that there's a white powder that's coating this filter. And that's why your engine is bogging down. It can't get fuel. It's starved for fuel. Look at that. It's a very fine powder. It doesn't really have any grit in it. At least this doesn't. And yes, that'll certainly clog your filter. So the fuel comes up through this port right here. You might be able to see it there. And then it flows in here, or it's pressurized through here, and then it goes up into the injectors. Also, any excess pressure bleeds back down through the inside of this filter, down this other pipe where it hits the check valve. And the check valve has a little ball bearing on the inside of it, and that ball bearing is basically the check valve. There's also a little electrical connector on this little piece right here. I don't quite know if that kind of completes a circuit and interacts with the ECU or what. Maybe somebody can tell us about that. But that fixture is right here and controls the return flow into this component here. So anyway, that's more about it. Sure wish they made this thing replaceable, but who knows, maybe they'll do that in the future, but not now.